President Loki skin finally coming back to Marvel Rivals after all of this time, let's talk about the how and when and why was Loki even president in the first place. In the MCU, we had a very brief cameo with President Loki, but while it was still brief, they were there and it skyrocketed President Loki's Vote Loki was a 4-issue comic that came out in 2016 that highlights some of the corrupted processes that go into the presidential race. From the perspective of a reporter named NISA Contreras. When she was a kid, her family apartment was destroyed by a battle that the Avengers were involved in. And while Tony Stark donated the money to help rebuild the area, the acting governor decided to hire cheap labor and funnel the rest of the money into his own campaign. Which made NISA feel more inclined to grow up and become a reporter to untangle all of the corrupt practices of leadership in New York, and eventually covers the presidential campaign for this reason. And then at a press conference, Hydra attacks. And even more suddenly, Loki's there to stop them, earning attention from the reporters and even more from the American people as the one who saved the two candidates. He becomes a pop culture sensation overnight. And people keep asking over and over if he's running for president, and he says no. But obviously that's a lie. Because as he says as the basis of his campaign, at least you'll know I'll lie to your face. So while some of the American public was really starting to like Loki, NISA, now working for the Daily Bugle, wasn't so convinced. She makes it her mission to defame him, eventually finding out that his fundraising organizers were sacrificing goats. To which Loki does a little press meeting and essentially says that America has freedom of religion, and because he's a god, he should be able to have followers that are practicing a religion for him, and he wins over more favor. NISA also discovers that he was directly involved in the Latvian Civil War, aiding one of the two factions, literally going to Latveria and being on the ground in disguise to help with the revolution against Doom's children, even though he had just done a debate with the other two candidates to say that violence wasn't the answer. After NISA exposed Loki for his involvement on the Hydra attack of the two presidential candidates, both opposition and favor for Loki skyrocketed, leading to a huge state of unrest, like literally setting cars on fire and everything. Loki contacted NISA and set up a live interview with hopes to make people regain their composure. And Loki ends up taking questions from the audience, and they start asking him policy issues and policy questions, but he can't answer them. And his audience kind of figures out that he never actually had a plan in the first place and turns on him. So the next day when the actual election is held, the votes for Loki end up plummeting. And this doesn't actually seem to bother Loki at all, because they go to talk to NISA and pretty much say like this was not necessarily a plan to run for president, to take over, like to take power, but to try to make amends for destroying her childhood home and get her somewhere set up in life so that she could do well. Because of what Loki had done when she was a child. Does she believe that? Not really, but is Loki lying? We don't know. So when they part, it's actually on pretty good terms, but when Loki is they have boots of like flight or like step, so they're like walking away but they're in the air, so flying away. When they're walking away, they end up taking a phone call from one of the candidates, we don't know which one, that pretty much say, I'm glad I could even out the votes for you and you should do a favor for me in return because I got you your election. And then he concedes from the political race, and he really wasn't super involved in it in the first place. It was kind of just the thing you wanted to do, which is what Loki does all the time. So President Loki is a fun little comic run, and mostly it's just for giggles because Loki was just having a good time and got something out of it in the end. That is President Loki and the Vote Loki run, and I hope this answered all your questions with the new Marvel Rivals skin or the new old Marvel Rivals skin. And if you like this, be sure to like and comment and subscribe and let me know which future Marvel Rivals skin you're excited for, if you know any of them. And I will see you guys next time. Stay geeky. Bye!